Thanks for joining this presentation about HomeBuilder. This is a summary presentation of how the system works. Let's start with the front page. We have a role center. This is for an administrator. There are many options for our roles that are pre-created. If you go into my settings, you can see we've got decor designer, executive inspectors, site super. We've got a bunch of different settings in here. As you change each of your roles, we don't just change the queues, we change the way that things like purchase orders show their information. The idea behind all of the pages that we've built for HomeBuilder are that you can see 80% of the information you need with just one click. If I was to demonstrate this with lots, let me open this up. I can see immediately on lots with this information on the right-hand side, these queues, and these exist in nearly every page that we have. I've got 19 house areas for lot number 1. I've got 1 contact. I've got some sales logs. I've got some selection packages. If I click down onto lot 3, you'll see that this information changes. If I click down into lot 4, changes yet again. So the idea here is that you do not have to click around to find information, and that information is readily available. If I look in lot number 4 and I want to have a look at the budgets, then I will open up this page and you can see in here that I have estimates. Typically, this would come from a model. And then we go into planned cost amounts. The idea is that these come from vendor contracts, although they don't have to. And then we choose one of these 2 pieces of information for budgets. This is all user definable. You control it. In here, we get into actual amounts. Anything where I have a drill down, then I can just click into it and it will take me to the information behind it. So everything is to hand and visible, whether you come at this from a financial point of view or an operational point of view. The structure of the system, if I go back 2 pages to this, the main queue, the structure of the system is that we will create a phase, and then on that phase, we will attach lots. And at some point, we want to end up with a bunch of models, which we're going to potentially add to our lots and build them. Some phase items. This is where we describe the basic building construction structure of what we're going to be doing. When do we put the stairs in, stairs basement? Where do we have a dishwasher, cabinetry? This information is tied to vendor contracts. It can have costs in here. We at some point want to define who we are going to use to get this information, and then we're going to want to define where the costs are stored within the system. After we've created the phase, normally we would create the lots, and after we've created the lots, we would create the models, and in models, what we'll do is do some additional setups. So in here, there's a lot of stuff which we can do. You don't have to do all of it, but I would normally expect we would want to describe which house areas exist. And if I have a house area, then if I want to do some takeoff values, I want to have some measurements. For instance, this the area of the wall is 60 square feet in this particular house area. So we can define those, and then we can use those for later transactions, like in color chart selections. We'll also have a budget in here where you can put estimates, and we can track all sorts of information in here. So I can immediately see this particular model exists on 6 lots in this phase. Once we've got this information started, what we will do is we will start to establish vendor contracts. We actually create vendor contracts automatically if you've done the setup, and all you have to do is add pricing, and there's a nice import export for pricing in there. And at some point, when you've got all this information, you're going to want to start to process purchases. So let's have a quick look at a purchase. Let's process one. We have customers who process purchases using optical character recognition. We have some people who enter things manually and then spread the costs across the lots. But one of the more commonly used approaches, and I'm just going to demonstrate it with this vendor here, is I select the vendor. If I've gone and set up my contracts correctly and I've added everything to the lots, I will have what are called planning lines. So let's populate from the planning lines. I can define the phase and which contract it is if I want to, but I don't have to do that. I can just say, yeah, just get me all vendor contract entries against any phase, against any lot. And so I can see in here, lot number 1, it's got a bunch of lines, contracts. I've got pouring, stripping, backfilling. I've got some for lot 2, lot 3, lot 4, lot 5. I've got a bunch of stuff, but let's just say there are Purchase invoice in front of us is for pouring a foundation. I clicked on this line. I can see from this arrow, I've selected this line. I'm just going to click up into here and I'm going to filter to this value. And so I'm looking at all of the lines that are in here. This is where we start to see the linking back to operations. Operations has told me, hey, I've completed lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. That was the site super who marked that these were completed. These have not been completed yet. But I could say, yeah, you know what? The vendor sent me the invoice for lot number 6 as well, and I'm happy to process it even though it's not being marked. So you can override this. The control is in the hands of accounts payable as it would be in a manual system. So I just select add selected 2 purchase lines. And here in the system, you can see that it's dropped all the lines in here, put all the amounts based upon the current vendor contract, and it's made the application against the planning line. So this is now going to consume the contract in its entirety for this particular lot, for lot number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So very quick and easy to create purchase invoices if you've got the right setup. You can partially pay, you can overpay if you have the budgetary rights to do that. I'm not going to process this transaction because this is a quick demonstration. So what I want to now do is head into the construction timeline. So let's just say we were back in lot number 4 and we wanted to know what was going on. So we've just looked at a bit of financial tracking. Now we're going to go into operations. And in operations, I can see, okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff which has been done. These have all been marked as completed. And the next one is coming in at this line. I may want to have a look at this from a Gantt chart perspective. I may want to say, oh, okay, you know, when is this going to get done? And you can see from my Gantt chart, then there's a bit of a timeline, and you can scroll down. If it's in gray, then it's not completed. If it's in purple, it has. So a nice view, which takes it all the way down to, you know, when do you think you're going to be ready for your pre-delivery inspection? An alternative view is you can look at this in a calendar view. So here I can see in September, I've got this information to be done, ductwork, heating, roughing. You know, as I scroll to the next page, then this is what's going to happen for this lot. That's interesting, but I may want to go a bit further than that. And I may want to look at this from the perspective of all lots for this phase. Just before I go there, just to point out on this, I can see as I click through each of these tasks, I can see that these are the 2 vendor contracts that exist against Armstrong Framing. So I can immediately see what's happening on this particular project. And if someone has selected a special change that they want, a foundational change or just a color chart selection, you'll see those selections right here. Let's go back out of here and let's get into some basic reporting. If I come into this area here and I look at the lot date analysis views, for those of you who are familiar with Business Central, this is very similar to the financial analysis view, but we've just made it work for the HomeBuilder solution. If I click into this matrix, you get a page which shows you some information, but back into the calendar view, and now I can see, oh, okay, so this is a more summarized version, but lot 8's got a closing, lot 4's got some framing on this date, the electrical wiring for lot 2 is happening now. So this is a more high-level view where we're restricting the amount of information on here, but it's still nicely visible. And there's an export to Excel, which you can run. You just click on that one, open the document up, and it's got a little bit of security in there. And I'm just going to enable this content. And what it does is it goes and runs the Excel listing for me, builds it, and it says, okay, so you are really late here and you haven't done the work. The top line here is when you plan to do the work. The bottom line here is if you did it. Green is you're on time. Red is you're overdue. Or in this case, I missed the time. And yellow is a near miss. In this particular case, I think we made it 8 days as the tolerance for a near miss. So in here, you have a quick and easy view. Am I going to hit my final closing date? This is the legal closing date. This is the final closing date. So a nice page which you can run, easy to read, and available at any time. So let's go back out of here and we're going to go into the matrix. We created a purchase. We had a look at the information that was available to us based upon what the site super is entering. And let's have a look at the customer portal. So if you want to, you can share this information with your customer. Here is a page. I where I took a photo, I attached this to the model. All this information came out of Business Central. We synchronize it to the portal, and then the customer gets to have that information available to them. You can show pricing or not, and each one of these sections here you can turn on or off if you don't want to get into that one. So I've got some notifications where I can request acknowledgements if I want to. I can have a chat system if you want to, or you can just say, no, I'm not interested in that. You want to start publishing diaries, do photographs? We've made it easy. You can take a photograph of this and publish this to every lot in one click. So it's all available. And there's all sorts of other things. You want to get into service management. The home buyer can actually make their own service call, or you can turn off the ability for them to do that. And maybe you even want to see the weather as it was at that time. So there we are. There's a bit of an overview of the customer portal. There's also a vendor portal where we effectively, essentially just share documentation between us and the trade. And that would include things like work orders or any drawings and documentation that we may want to share with them. Let's just do two final tasks. I'm going to go back and I'm going to have a look at a color chart, which I had partially started but not completed. Let's go back into lot 4 again. Up here, I can see there are 2 selection packages. I can either click over here or I can click here. It doesn't matter. They both do the same thing. Now I can see there's an addendum. Maybe this was for some structural changes early on in the request. And this is an actual color chart. And if I want to go and see what's in it, I can see that there were all of these things which I'm supposed to make a selection against. I've obviously not done it. And what I need to start to do is get into this. So let's have a look at this. Bedroom 2, let's start picking flooring. And I can look in this, I can say, okay, what flooring do we want? If I scroll up, I can see some more. Some of them we've clearly put pictures in, some we haven't. You can just look at this as a list view if you prefer. Let's pick Cherry American, 625 per square foot. I drop that in and it says, okay, you got 150 square feet for this bedroom. There it is. And there's the price that the home buyer is going to pay. If I want to, I can print out a partial request for this, and I can see, oh, really, I've only made 2 requests for things which are going to cost them money. And I can see this clearly in the primary bedroom, the bedroom 2. As I start to build this, I'll get more and more information in here. Some signature pages if you want to, and a nice little document. And there are many, many documents throughout the system. I need to complete this task. I won't do all of that, but there's your color chart selection. And as I process this, eventually what will happen is this will create more planning lines in the lot number, which will be available for accounts payable to process a transaction against. And finally, let's do an inspection. So I would go and have a look at inspections in here. I can see that there's a couple already. I have a PDI that's actually been done. So normally what would happen is I would create a checklist, and this checklist would build, and you can see that some of them have issues. I got some surface defects on the driveway. I got some plumbing fixtures. I can attach pictures to them. This actually works very well on a phone or a tablet, and that is the preference for most people, to use these on the phone or tablet. We have this as all user definable, and based upon the house areas that we've got in the property itself. Some people prefer just to go straight into service issues, and we have some other videos which will show how this actually works. So there you go, very quick rush through the system to give you the basic understanding about HomeBuilder, the way that HomeBuilder is put into the system, and a little bit about the different functions. There is tons and tons more in here, which I don't have the time to go into right now, but we have lots of, for instance, follow-up reports for deficiencies on inspections, or we have a Tarion integration where you can record that Tarion came in, or we have an integration into the Sailfish CRM system. We can produce various legal documentation. We have portals, so the portals for the vendors. There's a ton of stuff in here, just trying to give you a bit of an overview. Thanks very much for watching, and please feel free to give us a call.